And just like we predicted, the Calgary Flames cruise to a lopsided victory in Vegas. Vegas has always been so good to the Flames. I don't know why there was any apprehension if there was. 7-2, the final.
7-2. A touchdown against a safety.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on here?
I'd have bought 7-2.
Yeah, me too. Just on
yeah.
the other way. Anything we can do to help? I mean, Betway, we were heavy Vegas. You had said, I'm out. Prove me wrong. I'm saying the math is horrendous. Let's be realists here. 7-2.
7-2.
And a great night on the out-of-town scoreboard. A wonderful Thursday for the Calgary Flames.
I mean, we don't need help to look like jackasses.
No.
But we'll be the jackasses you need, if that's what it comes down to.
If that's all it takes, we're willing to wear that hat.
To your point, if this is what we can do this for 13, 14 more games, I got lots of time. Yeah. I got nothing but time to be a jackass and have the Flames prove me wrong. Welcome to Afterburner. Barn Burner, of course, is where we were laying our claims earlier today about how lopsided this game was going to be for the Vegas Golden Knights. 0-7-1 coming in. Wasn't the last time in February, first time they had a lead?
Yeah,
or
3-1.
Yeah.
They're up and then lose in overtime. Although I did say, if you're really going to be the 22-23 Flames, you have to continue to be very good against good teams and very bad against bad teams. And the bad teams part, we checked those boxes. Anaheim on Friday, Arizona a couple nights prior to this. It would be too easy if they were just bad and fell into Bedard range. This is what they've been this year. I looked at it now. The top 7 teams in the league, they're over 500. The bottom 6 teams in the league, they're just 500. It's completely ass backwards.
So you're not impressed because you knew this was coming?
No, it's just the script is that when we write them off, they show up against good teams. That they're sticking to the script. Minnesota, Dallas, travel in the middle, 2 games in 27 hours, good teams, playoff teams. They get 4 points. Coming home, Arizona, no good. Anaheim, no good. They drop both those games.
Yeah.
And the sandwich game in the middle was a decent opponent, if I recall, on Ottawa on Sunday. That was a little like, ooh, that's going to be the tough one. No, they dominated Ottawa. You can't figure them out is more the point than I've figured them out. It's that when we think there's a trend showing, they go the other way.
Coming to you live, sort of, depending on when you're watching or listening, I suppose. But we right now are live here at the Greagle, the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. One of our, it's kind of our home away from home. We like to drop in every once in a while. That wing and beer special.
Giving away wings.
Still working, yeah, still working. $12 gets you a pitcher of beer and a plate of wings if the game is on. It seems silly to kind of go through it's a lopsided game, 7-2. How do you look for little wrinkles and minutia in this game? But that goal by Blake Coleman, it's 2-0 Flames.
Yep.
Vegas roars back. It was their second was kind of like their third the last time, where they just took over the game and skated away with it. That late goal by Coleman at the end of the second to give them a 3-2 lead, huge, I feel like, in this, because they came back and the Flames were terrific in the third. I don't know if Vegas was out of gas like Rick and Kelly were talking about on the broadcast or whatever, but the Flames, they gave up, 5 shots, I think, in the third period?
More than that. I think they were probably deflated. The goals that went in were odd. You have the Backlund from behind the net off the stick in the helmet. And
I guess what I was saying is the Flames, really for the better part of that third period, because I was saying to you, they've been stuck on 19 shots here for 10, 12, 13 minutes. The shots that they got, they had to have got them early because the Flames took over the third.
That's a fair point. And I do agree with you that third goal is a big one. When you blow another 2-goal lead, it's like, last time we were in this building, we blew a 2-goal lead. You're right into the scar tissue. We've never won here, and now we just blew a 2-goal lead. And before that can set in, because this team, when it seems like that happens for a while and they've got time to think about it, things become hard. They score right away. Like, okay, boom, that's good. And Tyler Toffoli, we've gone this long without saying his name, 4 points tonight, 2 goals, 2 helpers. He has been, with Backlund, who scored again, their best forwards this year.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a night where the new lines got Huberdeau or Kadri going, but it was a night where your dependable guys were your dependable guys again, and they went off.
Why don't we do Toffoli now? Because I have a feeling that's just
that's
where
fair.
it's going to have to go. I don't like to, Mandeep. We won't keep you up, Mandeep. If you've been waiting for your BK Bowfort Liquor mention, then we get out of the way early. Our cheers of the game brought to you by BK Bowfort Liquor, located Trans-Canada Highway across from Winsport beside McDonald's. Stop in, say hi to the family. You're part of the family when you stop in and see Mandeep.
It's one of our boys.
Mom and Dad and the brothers, they take care of you. They're like family when you go in there. It's Tyler Toffoli across the board. 2 goals, 2 assists. And the thing with Toffoli is you look at the numbers, and I'm sure there's been some stretches he would know, but I feel like this hasn't been him pouring it on for any one stretch of the season. It feels like he's just been steadily contributing, coming up with goals, ups and downs, and there have not been a lot of winning streaks. There have been a couple losing streaks, but he has been amid a sea of inconsistency, crazy consistent this year.
And when he's not scoring, it's like he can't buy a break. He's hitting the knobs of sticks and pipes. He's always generating chances. Cheers to Toffoli indeed, and it's an interesting conversation they'll have this summer. He's the type of player they don't have many of. He's a pure finisher. He's not a great skater. He's not a perfect player, but he's really good at the one thing they struggle at mightily, which is scoring goals. And we keep talking about what could you get? What could you get? What could you get? Well, what would he cost? How much term would you have to give a guy? And that's not necessarily a conversation for today, but the offseason. But I guess what it is reaffirming is how crucial this guy is to this team right now.
Yeah, it's what team are you building at that time?
Yeah,
are you a team that is are you in a spot where you feel like a guy at his age, you're ready to extend him and keep him around? Again, you would have gotten a lot for him, I think, at the deadline.
I think you still will this summer if you want to move him. Yeah. And again, like, whose vision is getting enacted here? Until we have a GM, it's all just like spitballing, right?
You love that one.
I mean, someone's going to have to make the moves. Is it Treliving? Is it someone else? We don't know.
Do you think that drastically changes?
I think a GM comes in and has to sell their vision to ownership, and I think your point is probably going to be, well, the owner has the vision.
I was going to say, is the owner changing? Because
well, I mean, the owner's not dumb. The owner's very, very sharp, and I wonder if the new wrinkle being a rink, if there's a rink and there's an opening date in 4 years, does that change the horizon or the window for when you want to be competitive?
The mandate has been, as long as I've been in Calgary, is playoffs.
Yeah.
And I'm an old man. I've been here a long time. It just feels like no matter what, it's get to the playoffs and get home playoff dates.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that changes. Any honorable mentions? Because it is a slam dunk. You get 2 goals, 2 assists. You're going to be the player of the game. Any honorable mentions tonight? I'll go with Andrew Mangiapane. He only had 1 assist, but I thought he made a great play on the Toffoli goal. Did he not get credit? I need to go and look at the score sheet.
On the 5-2 goal, he gets the assist.
He gets the assist because he got stopped before Toffoli puts it in. But on the first Toffoli goal, he kind of pokes it away, and then Lindholm gets it to Toffoli, who dances around. I thought he was good. We'll talk about the line combos and how it got shook up. But I said to you before we came on, 7 goals. You'd love for Mangiapane to have gotten one. Garbage somewhere along the way. Get one. And end this drought, because he's into double-digit games without scoring. But I liked him tonight.
It was good. I mean, it's definitely an honorable mention. There's no doubt about the bell of the ball tonight. Toffoli was awesome, and when he scored was big. He puts them up 2-0. He gets them up by 2 again after that weird one from Coleman, and then helps them salt it away late. Also set up the first goal.
Yep. Tough to dispute. Now, it says on the screen there, call Mandeep. That's not a cell number or anything. If you were to call that, we're not...
247's a landline if I'm an old Calgarian.
Don't call him now, unless you're listening to this during business hours, and that, by all means...
Maybe you want a fine champagne to celebrate tonight's victory. Mm-hmm. Call Mandeep, 403-247-4722.
Poppin' tops.
That's right.
After a big win, for sure.
John Morant would have a night tonight.
BK Bowfort Liquor. Our cheers of the game is Tyler Toffoli. They're right on the Trans-Canada Highway across from Winsport. We tell you all the time, right beside McDonald's. Stop in. Unbelievable selection. The price you see is the price you pay. There's no hidden cost.
We're not screwing you, Dean.
Did we? There's a recycling and a deposit. There's a glass. There's a corkage fee on that. No BS. You go in there.
It's in the price.
It's in the price. It's BK Bowfort Liquor. So let's go back to 3 hours ago. there was a lot of unrest among Flames Nation over the line combinations as the coach shook it up, and no one was happy. As there was 2 down from the press box, 2 up to the press box, some different. I didn't like it. And I don't know if you can say it worked. It's hard when you win 7-2. That is it because of how they were slotted?
No.
Was it the change? Did it have anything to do with it? I feel like it's a little unfair. You have to give some credit. He made the change and they explode and they played a terrific game tonight. But I just don't know how much it had to do with it, to be honest.
They needed a shakeup. And when things are getting stale, it isn't necessarily who's next to you so much as the shakeup. And I like it for some guys. I hate it for other guys. I don't like seeing Walker Duer in the rafters for 3 of the last 5 now. Walker Duer. Lots of prayers, T's and P's. And look, we don't know everything. He might be playing through something that if it's playoffs, he's going, but now they're trying to get him rest. Or maybe he's 100 and the coach is just like, sorry, if you're going to be on my 4th line, I'm going to rotate you and use you as motivation for others. Pelche out. It's like he hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been as dynamic of late, and that's after being promoted to the top line with Lindholm and Toffoli, where those guys are still producing a bit. So, okay, whatever. But I mean, it was vintage Nick Ritchie with a penalty again. That's 4 in 3 games as a Flame.
It's quite a clip. Consistent.
If he wants to clip those down a little bit, that'd be lovely.
That's consistency.
I don't know that he stood out. Who else came in? Ruzicka, which is good to see him. Good to see you, Adam. But I don't know that he was a straw that really stirred the drink on this evening. I think they need to shake things up because what do coaches in the NHL do when you go long stretches without scoring? You shake it up, especially teams that have a tough time scoring. So I'm not surprised, and I will have a buy or sell for you based on the lines. But I mean, look, Daryl has 14 forwards, and I think he wants to use 14 forwards.
Messages sent for sure.
Yes.
And I'm with you on Walker Duer. I don't think that there's a message there, but obviously for Pelche, I guess there's a mistake made on the game-winning goal the other night. He goes to the press box. Nazem Kadri was not great. He goes to the line with Lucic and Lewis.
They called it the third.
That ain't the third.
You could argue otherwise, although I don't know what you'd call a Nick Ritchie, Adam Ruzicka, Dylan Dubé line. So, yeah.
So, and I can't imagine that Kadri is back with Lucic and Lewis on Saturday against the Stars with last change, but maybe that's the case. It just feels like it was message sending for the coach.
Well, do you want to do it right now? I got to buy yourself.
Well, if that's what it's about, then
it's exactly about it. It's buy it or sell it for Derrick Newman of the Newman Deans Real Estate Group with CIR Realty. See Derrick's email up on the screen there. It's dnewman@cirrealty.ca. And the phone number as well, we'll give it to you on the other side of it. But buy it or sell it. You don't change a winning lineup. Daryl rolls the same 4 line combinations in Dallas on Saturday.
So you're asking me, do I change it, or does Daryl change it?
Buy it or sell it. Daryl rolls the same 4 lines on Saturday.
Daryl rolls the same 4 lines on Saturday.
I'm with it. I'm buying it too, and I don't think it's going to last necessarily, but I just remember these lines came out today and everyone flipped out. And it's like, of all the crazy asinine line combinations you've seen this year, this really isn't an outlier. It looks like a lot of other crazy lines, like when Lucic played 6 weeks on a second line. And I remember that lineup came out and it was like, what the hell are they doing? And it was around the time they had that 7 games in a row against divisional foes, Christmas break in the middle. I think they went 5-1-1 or something really respectable in there, and they kept them together for a long time. They didn't look right, but Daryl was fine with whatever he was looking for, and they were winning. So I think he goes right back to him in Dallas as much as you'd be like, damn it, I'd love to see a Pelche or a Duer in for a Ritchie type.
And in some ways, when you look at it, the one line that got tore up was the Kadri line. Because Dubé drops and Huberdeau moves, you still had your Lindholm and Toffoli together. Yep. Backlund and Coleman were together.
2 pairs.
Mangiapane moves. That's not a huge one. It was just a little bit of to see Kadri clearly on the 4th line. I'm with you. You can call it the 3rd or whatever you want to call it. But that
bottom
was
6 Kadri is what it is.
That might be the only thing, but I would guess to start.
Yeah.
You probably see him roll everything the same.
Well, and for Daryl, it's little feather in the cap
sure
there.
is.
Look what I did. Everyone thinks I'm crazy. Francis was talking at one of the intermissions about how he was sitting next to Pelche in the press box and said, "You guys nearly broke the internet when I tweeted those lines," i.e. like people are outraged that Pelche's not in there. He's a young player. He's a very good player. He'll be very good when he gets back in.
That was your Eric Francis impression there, is it?
I'm not sure. I don't do a good Eric, I don't think.
I think that was what you were going for. Yeah, sorry.
Trying to, different voice, caricature,
Go ahead.
not me, go ahead.
Go ahead.
When Pelche's back, he's going to be good. I think we all know what you're going to get from Walker Duehr when he's in the lineup. Walker Duehr. So whether that's Saturday in Dallas, or Saturday at home against Dallas, or when they're back on the road Monday, Tuesday in LA, Anaheim. I keep thinking they're going to Dallas. This is the craziest scheduling quirk of all time. You come home for one against Dallas and go right back to the neighborhood you were in the Southwest states. Vegas is very close to LA.
It is, yeah.
And you're going to come home to play Dallas once before you go there.
Which is also
for
in
two.
that kind of that
I
whole
know.
Vegas,
So
LA.
they'll be at home Saturday against Dallas. Honestly, they've had a really tough go. It's their first game back for the last little while against awful foes. Anaheim was one. Detroit was another. They've had some tough runs at home lately. Whatever group Darryl thinks he can get spark plugs, you got to go with. But I don't know if these last, but I think they last until Saturday.
I'm with you. If for nothing else, he'll be pleased to see
it's
that
a
his
win.
creation paid off in a big way. That's Buy It or Sell It, presented by Derrick Newman of Newman Dean's Real Estate Group with CIR Realty. If you're buying or selling, no matter, let Derrick do the work for you. Email dnewman@cirrealty.ca or call 403-619-6661. What a guy that Derrick is.
Derrick's a beauty. Derrick would be giving up a lot of height and weight to Troy Stetcher too, but I think he also would have got dropped by Stetcher.
What, Troy Stetcher?
Oh, my Troy.
Do you think you knew? Do you think shooting the old Dukes there? Then he was
Well,
like,
and it makes sense for Cotter, who's a much bigger man. I think they said he was 215 or something like that, or 205 in the broadcast. That, like, okay, you're down at that point. I believe it's 2-1 or 2-0. So a chance for the Vegas player to swing the momentum, but it's like, all right, I'll go you. Didn't have to. Didn't have to at all.
that was another kind of a turning point that I made note of. Again, 7-2 was not, but it was 2-0 for the Flames when Dubé and Mangiapane had that 2-on-1 and missed, and then Backlund had the breakaway.
Yes.
And missed the net, and then shortly after it was 2-1.
White
and,
Cloud.
and then it was 2-2. You were thinking, man,
Smith.
at 3-0, that you had that chance. It matters not now, but I wonder if things had played out differently. If you'd look back and think that was the one little spot. And again, not patting myself on the back or anything, but when it was 3-2, I said to you that they need another one.
Oh yeah.
Because at 3-2, they'll pull quick and they'll tie it. And you just have that feeling that lead is not going to be saved. And then shortly thereafter, they did. They made it 4-2.
Early pull from Vegas as well. They get to 5-2, and then I was going to say Pete DeBoer, but he's not there anymore. Jesus. Bruce Cassidy pulls with more than 5 minutes left, and Mange almost got off the schneid there.
Yeah.
A big alley-oop, and Pietrangelo just knocks it down. Mangiapane's behind the defense. If it lands, it's him a puck in an empty net. Even right now, Mangiapane could finish that one. Anyway, I don't know how we got on that, but the honorable mentions, we should have mentioned Stetcher. That's something he didn't have to do, and it shows a lot of guts, and he's a guy that cares. He's not a perfect player. He's an upgrade on Gilbert on the right side of that third pair. I think he moves the puck nicely, but he there's a lot of will there.
In here as well, if you want to give a honorable mention, you wouldn't in a 7-2 game talk about the goalie a lot. But Markstrom, again, this is another start, another solid performance. And how great is it? Nothing to see here. No bad goals.
Yep.
No 2 breakaway saves that he had to make in the first period.
Fair.
Highlight reel stuff. This was just a nice routine night for him. How relieving it must be for him to walk out of the rink with a win and not have to have either played great and lose in extra time or lose by 1 without run support, or have to play your balls off in a win.
It's 3-2 Calgary, early third. Uyghur gets the delay of game for flipping it over the glass. And I don't know if it's on that power play or soon after, but Carlson has that chance in tight, and he gets a left leg on it. That keeps it 3-2, and soon after it's 4-2, 5-2, it's a runaway. If it's 3-3 there, this is a very different game. But to your point, it wasn't all night 5 bellers. That was a big one that I remembered and had started.
Yeah, it's and the other thing I was going to say, if we could do buy it or sell it, because there's two different ways of looking at this thing. Because I had in my notes coming in, the lost 2 or 3 or whatever it is. And you hear Rick Ball, 4-1 and 1 in their last 6.
Yep.
I guess they're both accurate. I don't know. I think I know where we were this morning on the show.
Yep.
Here's what it is. They're 3 points back. They get that out-of-town scoreboard help, and they take advantage. Credit to them. We would have absolutely crushed them had they not. But again, it comes down to whatever you believe that magic number is. What is the point total you need to get in?
Yeah.
96 points or whatever it is.
They were saying on the broadcast night 10-2-2 is like, hey, that'll get you to 96. It's like 10-2-2.
10-2-2, and not trying to take the shine off of this. You're 3 points back. Nashville has game in hands, but whatever. All of that. But 10-2-2 sounds awfully daunting for a team, as you said, that hasn't won back-to-back in about 7 weeks.
Yeah, they won 3 in a row since early December, and they have 3 back-to-back wins all 2023. That's it. Now, how do you feel about 9-2-2 though? Because it was 10-2-2 before they.
So now it's 9-2-2.
I mean, is that? It's better. It still feels really hard.
4 losses. You need some point. I mean, it's.
They are going to lose in overtime, but only 2 of those?
I know.
Jeez.
That damn Anaheim game.
I know, on Arizona too. And again, that is why this team is so frustrating. They have been better against the elites of the NHL than the doormats. And they might be the only team in the NHL that has a record like that. Here is their next 4 games. 3 of them are playoff teams. Dallas at home, LA at LA, Anaheim the next night on a back-to-back, and then they come home and play Vegas. It'll be another Thursday against Vegas just at the Dome next week. In a weird way, it's almost that Anaheim game that has the biggest recipe to get fans pissed off. If you lose a nail-biter against LA, you get it. Dallas is a very good team. They've led that division for long stretches. Yeah. Vegas, you've got 2 wins and a loss in the season series. If they sawed it off at 2-2, you'd understand it. And it's right into the scar tissue of them losing to bad teams. They dropped 2 to Chicago. They needed overtime to get 1 win against Columbus in 2 games. There's Philly. There's been some bad performances against bad teams. And it's on the road. And it's the second half of a back-to-back. Like, I tell you about the softness of their schedule, but it's the soft teams that scare the shit out of you with this group.
You know what, though? At this point of the season, it's not crazy to think that you can, listen to me. I keep
Friday
coming back.
And Monday.
I know, but
Friday and Tuesday.
You would rather be the team that's playing really well against strong opponents and struggling with weaker than kicking the shit out of weak teams, but you can't get up for big games against the big teams.
I think it means you're better. I agree.
One is easier, you would think, to get out of your system.
But one's
than
more
the
mind-numbing, right?
It's mind-numbing, but
because it's the Anaheim loss, it's the Arizona loss.
Is it out of this world to think that you can now you play Anaheim again, you beat them? Like, I worry about the LA game. These Dallas games, because remember, it was 6-1.
6-5.
And they ended up winning 6. Yeah, it was 6-5, I guess, or 7-6 or whatever it was.
2-goal lead in the third against Dallas earlier last week, or this week.
Scored in the final minute.
And then win it in
Toffoli. Final minute. I know. So that has all the makings of a crazy one. LA, I think, is tough. Anaheim, again. They're 9-2-2. Beat the teams. Start now. Okay?
Yeah, beat the teams you're supposed to beat.
Beat the teams you're supposed to beat.
All year it's been this. And you know what? It's not just the Flames. The Preds fell to Chicago.
Yeah.
We've seen, Minnesota just lost in Arizona the game before the Coyotes beat Calgary. These teams are so friggin' loose, having fun, not stressing losses.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the tension on one bench versus the other, it's like scenes from different movies. And so I'm not giving excuses, but, like, what do the Ducks and Hawks and Flyers and Coyotes have to lose at this point? Nothing. They're playing fancy-free. And this, you can see the Flames are like, we need to be almost perfect. We can't make a single mistake.
I'm laughing because I'm looking at, is that Lowe, whoever is coming in.
Lowell.
Because they've been fucking dead, and then they are not fucking
dead.
Fucking
dead, and then they're fucking dead.
There it is. So, what if they weren't after the Wild game, and then they were after the Arizona loss?
Yeah.
What are they tonight? Are they?
I mean, they're not as fucking dead as they were on fucking Wednesday.
There's a pulse.
We're trying to. They saw the light, but we're trying to bring them back. We got the paddles going.
Look away.
All right?
Look away from the light. Look away from the light.
Don't leave me now. Stay with me.
Oh God, I'm telling you, it's. We've had these years before in Calgary where it's been frustrating and they're hard to wrap your head around. Until they still need to, because it's fool me once, fool me twice. That whole thing. We were doing this how many times, and then they play an awful game against the team that you feel you should be beating, and then we say again. By now, there's no team you should be cocky and fat and sassy against, because look who you've lost to.
Yes.
Look where you are in the standings.
Yeah.
There's no one in this league you should consider yourself better than, to the point that it affects the result and your effort. The only thing is, and I guess you've got a little bit of wiggle room, you can play a really good game and not win.
Yeah.
There's some good teams. It's the National Hockey League. As you said, you got to go on a heater. They have not been able to win consecutive games or 3 in a row. You still need to really do something here. And it's natural just to lose some games that maybe you deserve to win or otherwise. And are you going to play Markstrom every night now? Is he going in that back-to-back with the Kings and Ducks? I think probably, if they're winning.
We'll see what the results are. I mean, at this point, it's Markstrom until it's not Markstrom, right?
That truly is the biggest story.
Yeah.
Because if you look at those games where he wasn't good, we would have had more to analyze and more to talk about, more performances or whatever to take away from. But you just couldn't, because you gave up 5 or you gave up 6.
If this is a February Markstrom, this is like a 6-5 Vegas win, and you're pulling your hair out. They don't pull their goal with 5 minutes left. They're in it. They score that 3-3 goal to tie it early in the third. The building's upside down. They don't sleepwalk when they're down 2, because they're not down 2. I mean, it's just the only reason they have a shot is because they've got goaltending right now, and he's been really steady. It's been way too long waiting for it, but it's finally here. You ride the hell out of this guy right now.
So I think we mentioned the out-of-town scoreboard.
Yeah. Want to take another glance at it?
Yeah, just because I think it is important. We are doing the scoreboard watching. Dallas, for what it's worth, they were in Edmonton. That's the next opponent, as we mentioned, for the Flames at home on Saturday. Yep. Up in Edmonton, they lose by a score of 4-1. It was Ottinger in net. Now it's 2 days. I would anticipate he'll be just fine to go.
And Wedgwood got aerated in that 6-goal game. That
yes.
was not Ottinger. So
yeah. So the Stars lose. That's the next opponent, for whatever that is worth. But as we mentioned, Nashville, the team who's also out of a playoff spot, but in that hunt with the Flames, kind of shoulder to shoulder.
Lots of games in hand.
Yeah, they got still three in hand. They tonight
fall 2-1 to the Chicago Blackhawks. It's not just the Flames that fall into these Bedard lottery teams. That's a tough loss for Nashville. Alex Stalock, that would fit nicely on the list that the Flames have going at goalies. 35 saves as Nashville falls 2-1. Who was
in for the Preds in that game?
I imagine it'd be Saros, because they're doing what the Flames are doing. You got
just
the guy you love, ride.
Yeah.
And then the other game, obviously, of note, Winnipeg Jets in action. They get blanked by the Bruins. This is the first game back after that road trip. They get wins back-to-back in Florida and Tampa, lose in Carolina, now come home. And what's waiting for them? The best team in the NHL, the Bruins. 3-0. Jeremy Swayman, the Sway Dog, a shutout. And now they have Nashville next. So all you want as a Flames fan is not overtime between Nashville and Winnipeg. Good luck to that.
Yeah, good luck to that is right. So that's where you sit.
So the standings, 3 back. The Flames are of Winnipeg. Games played even. And they are 1 point up on Nashville. Nashville has 3 games in hand. That's a lot.
It is a lot.
You got a game against each left on the schedule, I believe, as well. Winnipeg comes to town the 5th of April. Nashville's the second last game of the year, Monday, April 10.
Look at poor Brian. Brian on the chat. He's watching on YouTube. Are there any Flames fans in this chat? Nobody here has any faith. Pathetic.
Well, I guess,
Brian, I'm sorry.
Some fan bases, it's not about logic, and it's just like it's the church, where a man walked on water. Okay, I believe it. I have to. It's part of the. Other people are like, I'm a fan, but I have to be logical with this. I feel like this is a very logical fan base, and it's also one that's been burnt a shitload since 1989. This team hasn't really earned their trust. They've seen a lot of this act before. Other markets aren't that way, but A, it's a logical market. B, they've been burnt before.
I was going to say, it's the old Charlie Brown thing where Lucy keeps pulling away the fucking football, right? So Brian, I know you're... Maybe this time she won't pull the football away. There's a chance. She holds it there, and Charlie Brown's going to be able to come and kick the field goal.
He's going to rock one.
That said, Lucy's been pulling that fucking football away for a long time. I mean a long, long time.
And I think every fan wants to see them get in somehow, some way, because the team they played tonight could be a team they line up within a 7-game series. They're not perfect.
And I know that Rick and Kelly were talking about that. Can you take something that you got to play them again in a week, but does this give you some kind of juice if you're the Flames to think this is very realistically, if you get in, this could be who you face? It has to. It probably has to give you some.
They're 2-1 against Vegas. They've got 5 of the possible 6 points. I think it's nice that you slay that dragon of winning in the building, but more importantly is you've outplayed them all year. Like, the only game they get a win in, you blow a 2-goal lead, and
that
your
third
goalie
period,
was bad.
Vegas was very good. Vegas was good in that third period, but yeah,
and that was the second half of a back-to-back, if I'm correct, because I think they were in Arizona the night before. I might be wrong. Pretty sure that was the case.
I think you're right. Yep.
But either way, this isn't a team where you're like, oh no. I mean, even if they get in, they're horse meat. Well, Vegas is who if they're wild card 2, I believe today Vegas would be the highest point total for a division leader. Like, it doesn't mean things are going to finish that way, but I don't see them coming in and being overmatched unless it's Colorado. As weird as that sounds.
And I think, to be fair to Vegas, that was probably not the Vegas Golden Knights team that you saw tonight. That performance has them as the top team in the West. I think they were a little off.
And look, if they get Stone back, that's totally different. If they get one of their goalies on a heater, that's totally different. I didn't love Quick tonight. He was 4-0 as a night before tonight. One of them was a wild, high-scoring affair. He's been very good in others. They're not perfect. They're a very good team, but I don't look at them like I look at New Jersey, New York, Carolina, Toronto, Boston, Tampa, Colorado. Like, I don't see them in that tier.
No.
They're good, but it's not like, oh, well, even if they get in, well, hey, even if they get in, they might have a team they've got a winning season series against.
Flames will get on the jet. We'll come back tonight. Tomorrow, I would guess there will be sort of an optional type of a thing at the Dome in prep for the game against Dallas on Saturday. Before hitting the air, here's Daryl Sutter, the coach, with his thoughts post-game from Vegas.
Hit the air.
Got the lead. First period was a real grind period, I think, for both clubs. McKenzie scores. I think it was a direct in, wasn't it? McKenzie's goal. So you get a 1-0 lead and just kind of go from there.
What did you see from the new lines?
Just trying to get some energy in the lineup tonight.
Yeah.
And put Rosie in and Big Rich in, get some energy and moves. You know, we got some guys that are struggling to score. Just trying to move them around a little bit, find a spot for them.
The guys were talking this morning about killer instinct and needing to have that when you have 1-2 goal lead. Did you like the way they were able to press their foot on the gas a little bit?
Well, really the big goal is Blake's goal. They make it 2-2 and Blake makes it 3-2. It's not that much more to it. And then backs, we finally get a little puck luck on that power play goal to go 4-2. I'm not even sure how it would end.
To stick and body.
I couldn't see it from the bench.
What about that moment though? I mean, I think there was a pretty good save there from Markstrom.
Markey made a lot of big saves. Yeah. You know what? They got the goals they scored were good shot goals, right? And he made some big saves. He's made a lot of them. What has he played now? 7 or 8 in a row. So
it's one thing to come in here and win, but the way that you won, how much more does that?
3-2 going into the third period wasn't the way we won. You know what? They're coming back from a long trip, right? Probably you change a lot of time zone changes coming in there, and that was our only focus, was just trying to have a good first period, and it was just it was a grind first period. So it doesn't matter if it's 10-2 or 3-2. We need points.
Tonight's as big a night as this team has. Obviously, what does it say about your team that they responded so well?
I think we've stayed in the moment and tried to do that for quite a while. I mean, you think about it, we've played so many one-goal games this year, you could easily have forgot, just walk away from it and say, "Ah, hell, this ain't going to work." But that hasn't happened with our club yet.
You mentioned kind of you did have 3 goals where there was a little bit of puck luck, which you haven't had a lot this year. But you recognize that, right? Just you finally got some bounces.
Well, it's nice to see. Ty gets a couple, and Blake gets a couple. And Bax was the last chance he had to score when he was 33 years old. It's today.
So there you go, courtesy of the Calgary Flames, Flames.com and Flames TV, Daryl Sutter at the T-Mobile post game after a lopsided win.
Moral victory column, style points column. Just the points column that gets you in and out.
That's it. Yeah, just get some points.
Just points.
And that goal by Coleman, whether it does or it's hard with a 5-goal deficit, like a differential. Well, what is there any one point? I think that Daryl says they're not fragile. You come into the third period tied at 2. If they get the next one, it's 3-2 Vegas. This could go a completely other way.
Totally
Instead,
agree.
you get that goal from Coleman to end the second period. You come in, and to their credit, they grabbed a hold of it, locked it down, and added to that lead significantly. So
Coleman up to 16, kind of tracking towards that 20 number you'd probably like for him.
You mentioned Dubé up to 18. If I'm not mistaken, that's tying his career high in goals. Toffoli continues to clip towards
2
30.
shy of 30 with 28 now.
Yeah.
Backlund's 3 away from 20 with his 17th. That's an impressive total if you're Michael Backlund, 20. Like,
so stupid, because like 2 nights ago, and still, well, this guy hasn't scored in how long? And this guy, and like Kadri, it's still like at 10, 11, 12 games, or whatever, hasn't had a goal. There's still plenty of guys that haven't, but I don't know what to. Honestly, I don't know. I still think I feel like it's a long shot to see 9-2-2 feels. The point you make, that's they haven't won they have a hard enough time winning back to back.
Yeah, they went back to back in Minnesota, Dallas, and that's the 3rd back-to-back wins they've posted all New Year. They haven't won 3 in a row since December. And you're looking at it, you say, okay, we win on the road in Dallas, we win on the road in Minnesota, tough travel, no day off in the middle. There, the Ducks waiting at home, you can't get a 3rd win in a row. I mean, it's right there for you guys. You know you need a heater. You know you're going to have to, like, here is the truth we all understand. If they somehow, some way get in, they're going to have to string more than 3 in a row together. They haven't done that for 3 months.
But you look at this stretch, 4-1-1-6. Should they have beaten Arizona? Probably. Should they have beaten the Ducks? Yeah.
Well, what do you mean should? Like they outplayed them, or that they're better than them? They're better than them. They didn't outplay either of those teams.
No, they didn't. They weren't
Right.
very good against Arizona or Anaheim.
And that's why it's such an infuriating group, and that's why we really shouldn't be surprised that they show up and play their tails off and show you how good they can be against division leaders. And then they just look lost and have no confidence and fragile and so pop gun offense-y against bad teams. It's impossible to figure out. If they can figure that out before we figure it out, maybe they can reel off 6 or 7 in a row. Because let's be honest, if you get to even terms with these teams, that record thing goes out the window. It's a 3-horse race. We're all within a point. Just be better than the other guys.
If they can win some games, yeah, it's a very short amount of time until wins and losses and points don't mean anything anymore.
Yeah.
If they can find a way to get in, then we can stop harping against how you did against Anaheim and Chicago and all that shit. I promise you, we'll stop talking about it because it won't friggin' matter anymore.
Yeah.
And again, I have a hard time sitting here and just thinking it's just naturally going to happen because we've watched it. But can you start to beat some teams that aren't very good? That's what the ask is. Mm-hmm. You're very good against teams that are good.
Yeah.
Just don't shit yourself against teams that aren't very good.
Yeah.
It seems like a small ask.
Yeah.
And the key is Markstrom. He's been much better. Tonight was a great night for him. It's got to be a great night for everybody in that room. That's going to be a great flight home, and they've not had many of those.
That's true. I mean, they would have had a nice one from Minnesota, but yes, there's been a lot of like leaving Calgary at the end of homestands. Like, how do we not? Oh dear. Yeah. I want another couple sports analogies because I feel like we're driving it home, but it's just hockey. Imagine a golfer on the PGA Tour hitting over half of their putts from like 12, 15 feet and being like 50-50 on 2-foot putts.
Yeah, just
Right?
lipping out.
Imagine someone being better shooting from the logo at center court and missing layups all night. Like, that is why this team is driving people nuts. They're doing the equivalent of that. The easy things they make really hard. The hard things they make look easy. Please, make some 2-foot putts. Would you?
Dallas is not a 2-foot putt.
No.
The Kings are not a 2-foot
No.
putt.
Anaheim is on Tuesday.
And there again, conventional thought would be you just played poorly against them. You'll be ready for them, right? Now
Chicago.
there's some games in between that now and then, but again, you guys are still talking about wins. You know what? Yeah, I guess we are. I'm on and off and on and off. I just listen.
They need a heater.
They're 3 back. They're 3 back, and Winnipeg is truly struggling.
Yep.
They truly are.
Impressive 2 wins in Florida, but prior to that, they'd lost 7 of 9, and they've now lost 2 in a row since. It's dangerous trying to do math on the fly, but I think that means they've lost 10 of 14 or 9 of 13. It's been an ugly run. Don't do math on live
Don't
podcasts
ever. No.
or recorded podcasts
No.
or radio or TV. Not been good. Nashville's the team that's on a heater. They lost to Chicago tonight, not just the Flames. Crazy league.
Buy it or sell it. Brought to you by Derrick Newman of Newman Dean's Real Estate Group with CIR Realty. If you're buying or selling a home, let Derrick do the work for you. Email dnewman@cirrealty.ca or call 403-619-6661. And, of course, cheers to the game presented by BK Bowfot Liquor on the Trans-Canada Highway right across from Win Sports. Stop in, stock up on your way out to the mountains. If you're in that neck, even just, you don't even need to buy anything. We'd appreciate it if you would. Go in there and buy something.
Don't chew his ear off when there's a huge line at the desk. Like, get a little something.
Hey, man, deep. I don't really need anything, but what do
So
you
that
think?
picture of Jerome, what?
They got a chance or what? Beat that
what's that
7-2,
about?
eh? Pretty that power play going. This guy is marching pretty good now, eh, man, deep?
Then I look up and the fourth line's out again, deeper.
See you later. Buy something. Get off your wallet and buy something. It's a family business. Family business.
We're gonna have Betway bets to do, tomorrow and every other day we do the show. I think we have to keep cursing them. We have to keep betting the opponents.
Well,
it's working really well.
I had.
Our pants.
Oh yeah. Can you do reverse jinxie pants, inside out jinxie pants?
I don't know.
I don't know. You can
Yeah.
because I had Kaprizov on a couple of bets
Yeah.
when they beat the Wild in that game.
You had Toffoli tonight. Anytime Toffoli?
No, I had.
Oh, it was a couple days ago.
I had a regulation win
and a Marcia
and a Marchessault point and anytime win for the Golden Knights. So 0 for 2.
And I had the 2-point Jack Eichel because he's been great since Rhett Kirsten. Didn't see a lot of Eichel tonight. And then also had the Vegas -1.5. But
We're smart, eh?
Well, you know who is smart? Vegas. How do they have Calgary as favorites today? -120.
And it wasn't just Betway. I was looking around.
It's everywhere.
Is this just a Betway thing? No.
Everyone has Calgary's favorites. It never won in the building. Vegas had won 4 or 5. Calgary just coming off a loss at home. Or excuse me, a loss in Arizona.
People smarter than us. Hard to fathom. Hard to believe. It's going to do it. We are here at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. It was jumping in here tonight.
Dude, you got to find parking. It was amazingly
Parking
rammed.
lot was jammed.
Love it. You walk in, there's a buzz in the building.
Beers and wings flying around here. If you haven't been to the Stage Bar, do check it out. Watch the game here. Bring your buddies $12, beer and a pitcher of beer and a plate of wings. You cannot beat that.
Giving away wings.
If there's a game on the big screens, they've got that deal going. We'll be back here very soon. It's kind of our home away from home, but that'll do it for tonight on Afterburner. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to all you guys for watching and for listening and being part of it. And we'll be back next week. God knows what we'll be talking about next time.
Next burner, Monday late against the Kings. Flames haven't seen the Kings since, I believe, right around Christmas.
Oy vey.
Whatever that means.
Indeed. That'll do it. Calgary wins it 7-2 over Vegas. Good night, everybody.